Hey guys, today's story is about a DM that was supposed to be good, but wasn't. So, I've always had a lot of friend groups that I could choose from to play D&D with, since so many of my friends were met via D&D club in college. I bounced between groups focusing on playing in just one at a time, and as such, I'm eager to try playing with different people to really experience other players and playstyles. Recently, an amazing year and a half-long campaign with my last group had ended, and one of my friends in that group, knowing that I had wanted to try playing with some new people, suggested that I join in with his friends, who were to begin a campaign soon. He said that this DM was a forever DM by choice, because he loved to write, and found a lot of enjoyment in story crafting. A couple other of the members in the same current group backed up this claim, and said that they had played under him before, and he had put tons of work into making expansive homebrew worlds. Intrigued, I agreed to join in on this game, should the DM have me. My friends gave me his Discord info, and I messaged him asking to join. He responded pretty quickly, and was very kind. He told me about how he liked to make his homebrew worlds feel interactive and tried to work with the players' backstories to shape the world. He requested that I make a character and let him know what I come up with, so he could see if he could work the story around some of my background by tweaking some lore or adding extra NPCs with knowledge of me. This sounded really cool, and I was all for it. He also said that this campaign would begin around level 6, so I could add in a reason why my character had that kind of level of experience, and give him some reputation as a result to make the backstory richer. I spent the free time I had over the next couple of days coming up with a fighter who was a rugged mercenary for hire, known around the area as a cold and gruff killer who got the job done. I talked with the DM, who worked with me to establish my reputation in the starting area, and suggested a scenario where I joined the party after the rest of the group met up to join together, and an NPC suggests, "Your work sounds dangerous. You should go find Scruff McGruff, the Witcher wannabe, to aid you," to help make my inclusion more natural. He even worked with me to try and outline a rough idea of where I wanted to take my character, so that he could include story elements to play off of for my development. In return for this, he asked me to write up a small essay about my character to discuss his backstory, goals, plans, ambitions, how he would react to different things, and etc. He wanted tons of minor details like my siblings' names, fond childhood memories, the works. This was pretty cool to me, and I really looked forward to playing such a fleshed out character through the duration of the campaign. So, Session 1 came and the adventures began. Everyone met up and Scruff joined in after a down payment, and a promise of a sizable cut along the way. We got through Session 1 without much issue. We had a traditional bandit encounter to see how the players would work together in a combat scenario. Pretty standard stuff. And after Session 1 ended, I talked with the other players and got to know their characters better. They had played with the DM before, and they said that he did his work with backstories on each campaign, and is pretty generous about not letting characters with so much work and effort put into them die easily, usually giving second chances at great costs to revive those who die. When Session 2 came, we essentially ended up hunting down a scout of some raider group that was terrorizing the village we ended up in. The group had a lot of interest in resolving the raider problem, as they stole documents with directions to the next goal, so we wanted to figure out where the raider home base was, and get in there. We ended up following the scout, and ended up in an ambush. It's not a big ambush, rather, it's one of the raider captains with a small party out and about, and the scout traveled right to them for aid, knowing that we were following him. So, combat began, and after some neat moral choices and problem-solving regarding some hostages that they had with them, it came down to the captain and the party fighting 5v1. He was clearly a boss battle after showing off his abilities, and the DM had purposefully kept him rather uninvolved in the fight, up until this point. I assumed that this was to make it more fair for fighting the boss, but as it was revealed, It was actually to hide the boss's abilities. So the boss fight began, and the boss turned out to be part spellcaster on top of having a long-reach weapon, with multi-attack. Being the fighter that I am, I was front and center initially, and took his insane combo of god knows how many D8 in damage on melee. And the DM made multi-attack more into any 2 attacks. So I got hit by a follow-up ice spell for another insane amount of damage. Like 4 to 5 D8s were rolled for that spell, I'm pretty sure. And at this point, I'm a 6th level fighter, reduced from nearly full HP down to 2 HP in a single turn. Naturally, I took my turn to disengage and get 15 feet away behind our barbarian and our ranger. Meat shields so that I can recover. You would think that this would take me out of focus of the boss, right? By having 2 combatants in between me and him? Well, no. On the boss's next turn, he made a ranged spell attack against me, completely ignoring the other characters, which, of course, made me go unconscious. His second attack that turn was another ranged attack on the unconscious fighter behind the other active combatants. And on the next turn, what do you know? He went out of his way to go around my teammates and hit me with a melee attack, killing me instantly due to melee critting on unconscious targets automatically, and filling out my death saves. At this point, I kind of just went silent and contemplated if the DM was targeting me because he didn't like me or something. And I figured that I would have to wait to save my peace after combat. During the course of combat, our ranger, a long-standing player of the DM's group, also died in a similar excessive focus fire action. Combat ended after that, and the party just kind of stood over our bodies. We had a player with Revivify, but being starting adventurers at level 6 in the middle of the woods, we had no diamonds. Confused, the party just kind of mulled there waiting for the DM to say some NPC walks up to help or something. But there was nothing. Confused, they haul our bodies back to town and started asking around for an advanced healer. Maybe this is a plot point to get us to interact with some powerful healer or mage. But no. Nothing. The session awkwardly ended with us being buried, and after some silence, the DM said to me and the former ranger, "I'll make sure that you guys message me tomorrow to start planning your new characters," and left the call after some immediate small talk to go to bed. Confused, I asked the group about it, and they said that that was the fastest that they had ever seen a character die in this DM's game before. I messaged the DM the next day, kind of just going along with making a new character. I was disappointed, but I really wanted to keep trying with this group. I suggested that my next character just be a wizard who was out adventuring. The DM got upset at this and said, "That's a really simple archetype and goal. You should try adding some more to it." After some more talking, he basically told me that having a regular wizard was boring, and that we should plan around having a crazy backstory about how maybe I did some great magical sin like cursing someone, or seeing visions of a great calamity that I felt I had to prevent. I was kind of put off putting a lot of work into another character after my last bout of backstory effort ended 2 sessions in after extreme combat tunnel vision from the boss. I tried to push back saying that I just wanted it to be simple, or that we can just give my wizard magical amnesia, and the DM can just reveal my backstory so I share the same revelation moments as my character. But the DM got frustrated and told me that I had to write a good backstory to fit into the world. He left me with, "I need your 3-page character bio by game time on Saturday, or you won't be playing the next session," and promptly left the call. I was really taken aback by this, but again, I tried to press on. I built my wizard to be a utility caster, so I could aid in getting out of dangerous situations with divination, purely for fudging enemy rolls. I wrote a backstory about going on a magical pilgrimage, searching for fell magic that stole my family, to which the DM approved. Then, the next session came, and my wizard and the other new character, a monk, got introduced. The details aren't critical here, but we got led to another combat encounter, in much the same vein as last time. This time, from a shopkeep luring us in and trapping us to be assaulted by the raiders. And in pretty much the same way as the last time, the enemies focused fire on the first player hit, which was the barbarian this time, completely ignoring all the other player combatants until the barbarian was dead. At this point, the barbarian player went silent and didn't speak at all. The next target was the new monk, who, you guessed it, got focused on and died again. Combat ended one turn later, with the monk angrily saying, "What the hell, DM? You killed me 2 sessions in a row? They literally focused us to the point they put themselves in harm just to focus and kill us. Well, what do you think they're going to do? They see that you have a cleric, and they're going to make sure that you don't get healed and get back up. How would they know that? Why would they even think that? I spent 6 hours making my ranger, and you made me spend 10 hours making a monk story that fit the setting for you, just for you to kill him off in one sitting."
Yeah, it seems kind of bullcrap that you have more than one player death per combat encounter, dude.
Well, sorry that there's stakes and tension. You can't have a good story without actual consequences.
About 30 minutes of arguing followed this, with all but one player berating the DM for forcing players to put in so much work to just get killed off in such a crappy way. Eventually, I left the call and, to no surprise, there was no session scheduled for next week. Or ever. I left the Discord group and let it be. And this was only 3 weeks ago at the time of writing, so I'm still unsure of the full fallout. Well guys, the OP definitely has a lot more patience than me here, or just kept lying to himself that maybe this would get better. I really probably would have just left the second that he killed my first character. When you go out of your way to specifically kill a player like that, that's not really cool. Unless you have a really good reason as to why they would be focusing this person to such an extreme degree, why do it? It's not fun for anyone except maybe you, the DM. But if that's the only thing that really makes you have fun as a DM, then maybe you shouldn't DM. I'm also really curious why so many people were saying that this guy was a good DM. Was he just in a weird headspace for this month or something that this transpired in? I really don't know. But let me know what you guys think in the comments, and that's the end of the story, so hopefully you enjoyed, and have a good one.